Episode number 17, Pest Control Millionaire. We have one of my really good friends. I'm super excited about this one. I've had him on my radar since we first started this thing. Finally got him nailed down to do a quick interview with us. And this is my good friend, Jacob Godar. We met like 5-6 years ago now.
That sounds about right. Like probably at a service autopilot conference, right?
Probably like SA2, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And Jacob is the CEO of Scooter's Lawn Care out of Springfield, Illinois. And he actually opened up a second branch in Cape Coral, Florida, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about. He's also CEO of the Grow by Design podcast. I think you and Nicole do that together?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then he also has a coaching group called Comm, if am I correct there?
Spot on. Yep.
Sweet. So I've seen Jacob for a long time. He's always done big things. He's always done video way far longer than I ever have. He's been in a podcast for longer than I have. And a good friend of mine, I look up to him. He will be the life of the party. He's fun to hang out with. You guys will enjoy this one. And he's going to definitely drop some bombs. He's a leader in our industry, and we appreciate you here, Jacob.
Well, thank you for the kind introduction, and I am excited to be here as well. I love talking about business, going over all the things I'm sure we're going to dive into. So let's get this started.
For sure. So right out of the gate, let's just tell us how you got into the industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the sexiest story. I just ended up wanting to. I remember I was serving what I consider it was a 6-month sentence at Walmart. And I realized that I needed to, I left a job to get $1 more there. And I was like, man, I hate being in retail stuff. And it landed me in a better paying hard labor job in a landscape company. And that's really what started it right there is I got all my experience all the time. I realized I thought most of the stuff was really, really easy as far as the technician aspect of how to build something, how to mow, how to do whatever, plant. So that was my introduction into the industry. Fast forward several years, I'd worked in a body shop. I got a lot of knowledge and learning about how to build and how to really hone my patience on working on things. And I was looking at the option of buying a body shop. And we had went a long way with that where I found the shop. I talked to the owner. I had started to look into financing. And I just realized that was really more I thought I could handle. And so I reverted back to what I kind of already knew. You know, I'd already was working at a body shop. I was painting cars all night, all weekend, because I'd always been somebody that wanted to do something for myself. And then I got kind of sick of that. And I was like, you know what? I've got a push mower, a little trailer, a weed eater, and a blower. I mean, this is the weed eater that my dad found in a ditch when I was younger, right? And the push mower that he got for like every 5 years at UPS, you would get to pick like a giveaway thing. It was the push mower he got from that. And I just happened to have this stuff at the very first house that I'd bought. And I walked up and down the streets in my cowboy boots, handing out door hangers and information, knocking on doors. And that's really how I got into the industry and how it started. And even then I knew nothing about business, and it was all just learn and kind of grow as we go.
I love that story. Two things that I want to cover real quick. One, you were talking about your dad at UPS. Your dad's always been a really big part of your life and currently still is a big part of your life. And when you made the trip to Florida, did he go with you?
Yeah, he came with us, helped us get started here. Really took on the little bit of pools that we did, and then also helped overview and watch like the first couple of employees before we really gained much structure, because it was a rapid race to scale up and get that structure involved. But having that key person that I knew I could trust to, whether, you know, my dad is past retirement age, he needs to stop working, but he's a workaholic. So it's not like I'm expecting him to go out and kill himself, but he's really good at watching those quality things and making sure we're doing the right things. And so, yeah, he helped me in Illinois. And he's really helped me a lot here. And since we moved down here, I bought a house. He's bought a house now. So it's kind of like a permanent deal. We're here forever.
Awesome.
So,
and I actually remember the body shop story. I forgot about it. But then as you started talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that's what he was doing. And I remember that you were going down that path.
Because it's not to interrupt you, but it's the body shop that caused the name of Scooter's Lawn Care. So if it wasn't for the mentor that I met at the shop, that would have never been the name of the business.
So tell us about that. So did he call you Scooter?
Yeah. So you mentioned life of the party. We were always crazy and had a lot of fun. I remember there was this time where we had probably had way too much fun. And the next morning, me and three of my buddies decide to go in and buy mopeds at the motorcycle dealership where we were get all our race bikes. And we'd had so much fun that I remember we didn't really know how much we paid for the mopeds until we actually got our first payment on those said mopeds. But that was the beginning of the moped. I was really proud of mine, or we were all really, but I was a tight ass. He got 110 miles to the gallon. I was very proud of this Honda Ruckus. And so I would take this thing to work all the time. And at work, there was this older gentleman who would push a broom. He was literally there just to have something to do because he was retired. He even told the owner, "Hey, I don't want to be paid. I just want to be here." And Brad was like, "No, we can't do that. You have to at least get paid." Yeah. I mean, he'd come in at 2 a.m. to pull all the cars out, get everything ready, get the coffee ready so he could hang out in the break room with the guys. That's what he wanted. He wanted that atmosphere, the cool atmosphere and culture they created in that shop and be able to hang out with the guys. And as this went on, I got the moped, and Jimmy, this is the guy I'm talking about. I come into work one day, and he calls me Scooter Boy. And that's kind of how that name came about. And there's kind of more to it, obviously, all the way to the point of where the business was getting serious. And he was my mentor in that. He knew a lot about the lawn care industry because as he lived the retired life on the golf course, his wife had told him, "You've got to find something to do." And one of like the 4 things he did was start a lawn care business, run it to like 600,000, and then he just sold it because it was just like a thing that he did for a little time. So he mentored me on that, and it got to the point of I needed insurance, and I'm like, "Man, Jimmy, we need to name this. This is feeling serious. I got to get insurance. I don't know what to call it." And he said, "I don't know why you wouldn't call it Scooters Lawn Care." I'm like, "I really think that kind of sounds dumb, Jimmy. It's not what I was thinking." And without a doubt, it's stuck for sure. And it's been a really cool story and journey because shortly after that time, we found out that Jimmy got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so this has been a really cool thing it's another one of those reasons, like, make this thing bigger so Jimmy can watch, make this thing bigger so Jimmy can watch. And shortly, I think we started in 2014, probably I'm guessing it's been so long ago, but probably 8 months after I started the business, or after I really made things official, Jimmy passed away. And so he was a big part of that. He's a big part of the name and a big part of me getting started.
Yeah, I love that story. And you said you made it so it sounds like the vision of the company is, hey, make this bigger so Jimmy can watch it. Like, does the whole company know about that?
So, I mean, like, there's placards of how the company got named in both offices. It's not something that's more of a personal thing for me because, like, the company goal and mission wise, that really revolves around the employees is more that we want to create a place where there's infinite opportunity for an employee basically to have growth without limits, right?
Yep.
And so it's kind of like we want to know our employees' goals so we can help them succeed. One of my own personal goals is keep making this thing bigger so Jimmy gets to watch. And if we do those, as we do the company mission, they get to get their thing, I get to get my thing. And it just kind of gives me some peace of mind that he helped and he would be proud of what we're doing.
Heck yeah, I love that. So you started off in Springfield, Illinois, right? That's where you started knocking doors, started handing out flyers. And how long have you been in Springfield for?
So in business?
Yeah.
We started part-time in 2014. We took it full-time in 2015. And so I think that's like we're getting right around the 8-year mark.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride there because, as mentioned, I didn't know anything when I started. That's when I really started self-educating and trying to learn more about business so we could make the right decisions and grow correctly. And much bigger shift from what we did in Florida because I'd already had so much experience. Yeah. But we still had really good growth there. Before I even left, I'm trying to think. I think before I even left, we'd done, or at least really close, or over $2 million in sales in a year there. And then, I mean, it's continued to expand since. So.
Yeah. So in Illinois, are you more landscaping related there, more lawn care related? What's the split of revenue? Before it was mostly landscape, right?
It was mostly landscape, but in the whole 2020, everybody's, coming unhinged. That's when we bought a good sized company that was all maintenance to try to shift that a little bit.
I remember that now.
And I was kind of looking at the numbers this year and evaluating things, and we've got a lot closer. It's not so much, it used to be like 40, 60, 30, 70, really heavy towards the landscaping, really light to the maintenance. And that's creeping and staying much closer to the 50 ish mark, maybe a little less. If we do 2 million in revenue, we might only do 700 or 800 of maintenance, and the rest is landscaping. But that's really, especially with me moving away from being I was always the person that would get us into ridiculous big landscape projects that were super complex. Yeah. And so we still do complex jobs, but they've tamed that down some to make things more efficient and allow us to move through them easier. So yeah, and I love all that. The closer we get to 50-50, I think the happier I would be, because I don't care about either version. It's not like I will like one better or the other better. I like the maintenance adds a lot of value to a business, and then the landscaping adds a lot of potential for us to go and hunt down some profit. They both got these big upsides that, for me, a 50-50 mix would be awesome.
Cool. And then you guys, what is it, 2 or 3 years ago, you bought a new shop like right on the highway, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I can't even remember the year. It's crazy how quick these things fly by, and it seems like a big monument like that you would remember. But well, it's been over 3 years, because we're signing, we are really dragging our feet on that, but we're past our 3-year lease. So we're probably at 3.5 years right now. And we didn't buy, we rented it, but we're also in talks about buying that shop and potentially the storage units next to it. That's always been something that he knew was going to be on our radar, and that's starting to kind of come to fruition as well.
Cool. So you just told me before we got this podcast rolling, is that when you first bought the shop, it had a big like front entrance where you have a lot of display, right? And now you're turning that into like a second business, right?
Yeah, and it's still, that business we were talking about, still all going to run under Scooter's Lawn Care, because just like everything, like you mentioned before we started this, quick start.
Yep.
What is the easiest thing to go out and get the financing? And it only made sense. Why try to start another entity that now this entity's got to personally guarantee it? Why not just put it under Scooter's Lawn Care and call it good? And it's getting us mowers. It's helping our business. It's helping the mechanic shop in the back business, or in the back end of the business. It's like a mutually beneficial thing, which we can also go out and earn some money. And yeah, so we came up with having a mower dealership, and we're going to be, as of mid-February, we're probably going to have our first order of Skag mowers.
That's awesome. Congratulations. So is that something that you just happened to fall on, or is that something that you had planned for a while?
A little bit of fell on it. Not bad mouthing anyone, I haven't been extremely impressed or I guess satisfied with the relations we've been able to create with the dealers in town. And that's actually really regressed. There's only 2 people that deal mowers now in Springfield. And I don't know. It's just certain situations that happened where I thought that this could be better. And I think that that's what we've always taken in a lawn and a landscape thing. This is what I said to Todd, the person that's a mechanic in the back shop. And we're kind of doing this together. I said, if we're going to do this, it's going to be the best one there is. Like, that's how I want it to be for the lawn care company. That's how I want it to be for landscaping, both locations. And so we had talked about the idea of dealing something there, because we had the showroom area. And time progressed. And right before I went to the Equip Expo this year, I asked Todd, I said, what about dealing mowers? Do you think that would be like good or bad? He's like, yeah, I don't know why not. And I said, well, once I get there, I'll go to Skag and I'll talk to them, because they're not in our area. They have hardly ever been in our area. They're a great mower. And it seems like a good fit. And I feel like our market's underserved. And I went straight to Skag when, I think, second day of the expo, asked for who was in our area that was there, met the guy that manages our whole area. And I said, hey, I'm the guy that wants to start a Skag dealership in Springfield, Illinois. Do you have any interest? And he's like, you're exactly the person I want to talk to.
That's awesome.
And that's how it started. And this really went from Green Industry Expo to, we'll have the dealer numbers and all the stuff ready this week for probably everything, where it's going to be, it's done. The deal's done.
And when you talk about branding and scooters, like, how perfect is it that the colors are the exact same?
That also plays really, really well. They've got a great color scheme on those mowers. Orange is a big part of our color scheme. It does. it looks perfect from a visual branding
Sure
aspect.
does. Like, and they say that the branding is part of your culture. And I mean,
Yep.
if you have that same brand across the entire company and create that big culture for one, like it's going to be amazing. Okay.
And
So,
it was a well, and here again, I'm keep interrupting you because you're giving me more ideas. And beyond branding, what I love is it's kind of like I do like this about Xmark as well. They do a lot of this, but they don't do as much. It just covers all sectors. Like they've got leaf vacs, they've got spreader sprayers, they've got mowers, they've got like this, that, and the other. Where you have this line that cover, they got big blowers, they've got a line that covers so much stuff that it's just like a perfect fit for what we need, and then we can just go and deal that to other people, and then get some benefits on cost and stuff like that for the company itself.
and I know you have some pretty big mentors, so I thought maybe that was something that they might have put a bug in your ear about, scaling those two businesses together.
I mean, I've ran these ideas and told people about these ideas.
Yeah.
No one really put much of a bug in my ear. I heard quite a few mentors say that if you're going to do multiple things, make sure they're kind of running in the same direction.
Yeah.
They align
Yeah.
and they all work like symbiotically. I think that's how you say that.
Yeah.
Together. And so that made sense to me. So I knew, and I'd heard that a bunch, and I'm like, well, how does this not make sense? This facilitates the mower shop getting more stuff, the landscape company having better cost points on everything it uses, and then it creates some revenue, and it all is, I don't have to go buy a shop. My accountant has already worked with multiple million plus dealerships and knows that they make good money and said, just stay with one line and you'll do well. And it's like everybody around me, we were just kind of set up to do it. So it just made sense to run in that direction because we'd already had what we needed.
Yeah,
it'd been a much different conversation here. And they asked if in Florida would we start one. I'm like, well, we don't have anywhere to put any of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like we would have to start so much stuff that's not really in the question here.
Yep. I agree with you. So let's talk about Florida. Everything about business, it looks easy from the outside, but it's extremely hard. Not everything is perfect. Let's start off when you first went to Florida.
Yeah.
It was your first time going there. Tell us, walk us through that a little bit. Quick synopsis of what happened, how you ended back in Illinois, and then how you got restarted back in Florida again.
Yeah, Florida first time was an extreme challenge. And actually, it's crazy, the lineup of things. I had I guess my wife just told me when we were shooting our podcast today that this week must have been like 2017-ish, 16-ish time, I had my massive, crazy heart thing that happened that almost killed me. That was right before we decided to do the first round Florida. And what happened is we got started in Florida. It was exciting. And I remember we were trying to get all the stuff rocking and rolling. I was just reeling on the heels of this major health issue that been kind of into this where we decided to make this big jump. And we were trying to figure out who's going to help us run the shop in Illinois. So we hired a couple people, and ultimately it was a lesson in what bad hires, especially higher level bad hires, can do for you. So we started the operation in Florida. We got it rolling. It was exciting. Even at that point, when I didn't know as much as I know now, I've came a long way down the road of business. It was already growing really, really well, and we saw a lot of opportunity for it. But unfortunately, as it progressed, and I was much more boots on the ground, doing all the work, selling all the work, everything in Florida. The people that we'd put in place for a designer and pretty much a production manager for the landscape side. Like if we were just a mowing company in Illinois, I could have walked away and could have kept growing it. But since we were in such early stages with such an underdeveloped landscape construction side of the business, it needed really, really strong management with people with skills that knew what they were doing. And so we got everything rocking and rolling and started down here. We were about 6 or 7 months into getting everything going. And well, probably even less than that. Probably in the 5th month, the designer put in his resignation. And I was like, okay, well, no big deal. My big issue was I thought you were extremely slow. In my head, these are the stories I was playing anyway, because I want to run and gun and I want to sell stuff. I don't want to go really slow and make the sale time and the sale process of a landscape longer than it needs to be and let other people beat us out. So I had my internal frustrations over that. And that's probably what pushed him away, because I think what happened here was a couple people thought that they were going to be able to come in and really grow and take on this company and kind of run it the way they wanted to run it. And then the gears ground when they realized that, yeah, I might be gone, but I still want this to be the Scooter's way, the way that we've always been doing it. And so he kind of left. And then there was one more project that I still remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing on a project. I was digging out rock beds. The kid that used to work for us back in 2017, now he got hired here again on the second time we're working. And he was with me on this project. And the guys in Illinois, they're getting ready to break ground on the first project of the year. And I just had a hard talk with the manager the day before saying, hey, these guys, they're having an issue with respect with you. You're going to have to walk the talk and do some of this, or this is going to become a bigger problem. And that conversation kind of went, it ended with him saying, well, I understand, we'll make that stuff happen. Just know I'll never take advantage of you, or I'll never, basically I never take advantage of you. And little did I know the next day, I guess it wasn't taking advantage. Maybe it was better put, I wouldn't screw you over. He basically screwed us. And we get started on this project, or we're getting loaded up, and all the guys are calling me, where is this manager? He's not here. And I'm like, I don't know. He should be there. And so I'm getting ready to call him, and I refresh my email, and I have my second email resignation, and he won't answer. He's got the designs. He's got some parts he bought for this job for some drains and stuff that he had in his truck, and just completely ghosted us. So that was the final straw. At that point, I was trying to figure out how to create a system to allow Zoe to keep selling landscaping, so we didn't have to do it. I was all over Fiverr looking for designers so we could design the stuff remotely, have Zoe sell it. It just wasn't, like I said, built out enough, and she didn't have the confidence. And what ultimately happened there was I had more people there and a lot less people here, and I couldn't fathom letting all those people down and letting that business potentially crash because I wasn't there. So we made the hard call to pull the plug here, go back home, and really reevaluate where we're at. I think at that point, we're talking 2018. I remember we took a hard stance of everything that year was hashtag best year ever. Yeah. Hashtag scariest leading into the year, but hashtag best year ever. And from that point on, we just sprinted ever since.
Awesome. So when you went back there, what did you fix? What did you get in place so you could leave again?
So I just realized how bad higher up employees, if they're not the right fit, how detrimental that would be to the company. Now, honestly, any employee that's not the right fit is detrimental to the company because it's going to ruin culture and damage the thing that's the heart of the company. That is the culture. That is the fun. That is the people going to the job and not hating the job, actually wanting to potentially be there for the day. But what we noticed is since those people were gone, we kind of went back to our core staff, and it wasn't so much of putting something in place. It was not putting the wrong things in place again. Right. So not getting more management that comes on that is wrong. So we built and we built and we built and we added and we added. At that time, we were like, hey, we're trying to get to 1 million. We're trying to get to 1 million. We hit the $1 million mark. The pandemic comes. And we had got a pretty good, solid staff in place, but we weren't in any world where I could walk away and landscaping would still happen. We were a lot bigger, but we were the same as we were the first time I went. We improved our company a lot in other ways, but not in the management for landscaping. And a huge blessing, like so many of the good things, and it feels bad even saying this because so many people hated 2020. Like we had a lot of good stuff happen to us in 2020. Same. And one of the biggest things that happened there is companies that live by one of the rules that I think is the dumbest out of all of them, that live by a seniority philosophy, it was one of our block distributors. Their front office person, she was a rock star. And she knew about landscaping. She'd worked for the brick company. She'd been a designer with some sales stuff. And she was the best person they had in that office, but she had no seniority. And they laid her off when everything got scary. And the first thing I said is, hey, do you want to answer phones from home? I'll pay you on Venmo once a week. We got VIP phone systems. You want to start doing some stuff for us? You're awesome. I've always appreciated how much you've helped me do the jobs we've done and all the legwork you've put in. She was my go-to for buying block, buying pavers, doing everything. I dealt with her all the time. And so this started this way. And then eventually I said, she started kind of mentioning that, hey, they hadn't been keeping her updated. She doesn't know what's going on. I said, well, would you want to work for us? You got any interest in that? And it turned into, we need to talk numbers, to we talk numbers. And now she's on board, and she really blossomed into the of the landscaping side. She sells all of it. She manages all of it. She's integral in the big picture of things. And between her, Zoe, and Melanie, and then with some of the assistance they get from Maddie, who's going to be coming up in the company as well, and she's learning a ton. They make it all happen. So the real change was getting the right people in the right places in the business to allow it to continue functioning and growing, instead of putting somebody in there that could potentially be detrimental to it and kind of tearing it down, even if they think they're doing their best,
Yeah. And Zoe came on before Melanie, right?
Yes. Zoe was the first.
We got to give Zoe a shout out, right?
Yeah. Zoe was the first person in the office, and that's that person that everybody has the really hard time bringing on board, because it's before you see the value of the time that is created to have help so you can go out and continue doing higher level stuff. And I get it, because when you're small, you feel broke. You probably are broke, and it's challenging. It's scary. And I know that we brought her on right around 250 sales. And it was when I was still in the 2.5 car garage, working out of the little third bedroom in my very first home. And she was working part-time. And so she came with us from there, which that had to be probably 2015-ish, or maybe 2016. Yeah, probably 2016. 2016 time. She's been with us ever since.
Yeah. What's her role in the company today?
So now she is office manager and pretty much overseer of all of the maintenance, sells a lot of the maintenance, manages the office, and she is the queen of client satisfaction and communication. I just remember watching her be afraid of dealing with a mad client to enjoying when she knows that the philosophy I always use when you're dealing with someone that's upset, knowing that you've got the gun loaded, knowing that you've got all the answers for the problems that they're about to present to you. Seeing her now, that when she gets excited for a really hard conversation because she wants to see if she can overcome the challenge, to seeing her when she first started. So she's dramatic difference in what she does, and client communication and customer service. She's probably our number one go-to on any problem of that.
Yeah, she's a rock star. She's been from day one.
Yep.
So then what made you decide to go back to Florida? What's the hype about Florida that you couldn't get it out of your head?
Flat out, honestly, as clear as I can be, I hated how Illinois, I've never been a big Illinois fan. I've always loved Florida. And I guess to the preface to the story, I always wanted to live down here. Before me and my wife were married, we came down here and we took a trip where we went all up and down this coast and looked at everything from Fort Myers to Siesta Key and all the different ins and outs. And it was always an area we enjoyed. My original mentor in the body shop that sold me all his tools, taught me a lot, he moved down to the Port Charlotte area. So I had some connection here. And another thing is I realized how easy it was to get here from my shop, because there's an airport in Springfield that's 7 minutes from my shop and probably house up there. And it flies right to Punta Gorda, which is not even 30 minutes, like 25 minutes away from my house where the airport is. So it made sense with the connection. And then the reason that I really wanted to go back there again, we already knew this was going to be something that we were probably going to do again. Now, my wife did say, you go to Florida again and you're going to have to sign something that says you'll sell it all off, you'll get rid of the business, whatever, because I'm never going back to Illinois. She also is not a big Illinois fan. Luckily, she didn't make me sign anything like that. And on top of that, we've been extremely successful, and I couldn't imagine ever going back at this point. But really what pushed it faster was the pandemic. I was disgusted with the way Illinois was. And I was extremely happy when everyone is losing their mind and I come down here on vacation in June. While most people are losing their mind, I'm getting to enjoy time with my family, be outside and be around people. And that just sped this up. So that, with everything else, turned into the conversation of me going back. We're sitting here. I remember we're sitting on an Airbnb by the pool. And we're like, man, I want to do this again. Okay, we think we should do this again. And then the conversation comes when I get back. I ask Zoe, Jess, and Melanie, hey, do you think you can run this thing without me? And that was the turning point from where we were unprepared the first time. And we threw some stuff through mud at the wall with people that we thought we could trust because they were family friends. And, a lot of times family in business doesn't work out. Friends in business don't work out. This was like the final case study I needed for that, to the version now where I asked them that and they said, if you weren't here to pester us so much, we'd probably do a lot better. And so that was the beginning of us moving back down to Florida.
Cool. And what year did you move? It was the 2020 or 2021?
2021. So technically we came down in the motorhome at the very end of 2020. Yep. We what would that have been? No. Oh, you're right. At the beginning of 2021, we came down in the motorhome and we went on a 2-week vacation. 1 week was like just hang out. 1 week was find a place to rent because we're going to do this thing. And then by April in 2020, 2021, we were full steam here in Florida and rocking and rolling ever since.
That's awesome. So Nicole is very, very good at marketing. I mean, she's a photographer on the side, right? I think she builds your websites, if I remember correctly. Yep. Very, very good at marketing. So when you first moved down there, you don't have any customers, right? How did you start getting customers, clientele? What was your marketing strategy going in?
So when we first went down, we were lucky to have a little bit of a few leads from the first time we were here. So one thing in the marketing deal, and I just talked to a company owner, I had dinner with somebody last night about this, is if that phone ever rings or anybody calls you for any service, that better be shoved away all their information. You better be getting their cell phone, their email, and storing that for life.
Absolutely.
Because you don't know if you're coming back or whatever. And this was another case of a company that, like, if they didn't send out a quote, they didn't even take information. I'm just like, you paid for the phone to ring.
Absolutely.
So it's obvious we take marketing really, really serious here. And so as far as a marketing strategy, we made a big push. We knew that AdWords was a really strong place for us. Google or Facebook was an extremely strong place for us, especially from a branding standpoint. Not so much like a click here, I want it, and I'm going to buy. Yep. AdWords is more of that.
Yep.
So those were two that were going to be a go-to. I've always been a big pusher of getting door hangers out. And so here we didn't have enough stuff to keep people busy off the start. And when I was back in Illinois, I didn't have enough money to do this, or I would have been too scared to do it. So what we did is when we hired our first guy, when they didn't have work, they did door hangers. Yeah. So we were pushing a bunch of door hangers. Any projects, as soon as we started getting yard signs on every project. And these are just some of the stuff as it grew. But one of the other extremely important parts that should have been first, honestly, is making sure there's a really, really good website in place, because it's the conduit of everything. The yard sign goes to that, the door hanger goes to it, Facebook and AdWords go to it, all the different pages, landing pages. And so those were some of our things. And we also, another key point is if you were starting a business, especially, we started that website and got it fired up probably 6 months in advance so it could start ranking before we even got down here. So it was on its way up. We might not have been at the top, might have been on the first page, only a couple months out, versus having to wait that 6 months for it to do better. So we did all of these things. We pressed for tons of Google reviews, and we did something that I've never had good luck with. You may have. I'm not sure if you have or not. But we did a bunch of every door direct as well. I was just like, let's go all in and just get contact and get people to see our name. And we've always done that. We've always had a lot of different things that we do, a little bit of everything. We just keep increasing it as the business grows. And then we watch our results as well, just do the thing and then test and measure. I don't do like crazy A/B testing, but I do source reports on everything. And I mean, because you use Service Autopilot or at least have, and, you can see it's like, where is the most work coming from? Okay, we get this many leads here. This is how many close. And it allowed us to keep kind of pushing in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that story. And now, if I remember correctly, you guys are doing like $200,000 a month in revenue right now already?
Yeah. So this past year was our first full 12-month calendar year. Yeah. And we did, like, I just checked yesterday, 1,660,000. This December we had our best month ever. In November, we had our first $200,000 month. So we had a $211,000 month, and that was the first one. That'd been the goal. Like, it was, at first it was get to 100 as fast as possible. Yep. And then it was get to 200 was the next goal. And this took forever. We hit 188 and and then we dipped down, and then we get up, and then we dip down. And then November happened, and then we were so sold and booked out and doing so much big work in December, we ended up having another follow-up to that where we did 276,000 by the end of December. And it just It's been really explosive. Somebody said pick a word for the year for 2023. Explosive's my word. So we're just going to go wide open on everything.
That's awesome. What's your revenue split down in Florida? You're mostly landscaping, mostly maintenance. What does it look like down there for service level?
We're starting off a lot like Illinois. We're really, really heavy design build, less less maintenance. It is cool though that as many people told me you couldn't charge what you want to charge. You couldn't charge more in maintenance, especially mowing. We do, and we sell it, and we have built that up to. I'm very impressed by this. I didn't think this would go this fast. I knew revenue would come from landscaping, but we've got about 530,000 of reoccurring contract revenue built up already, and that represents, I think, 200 and I'm looking up trying to think. I think about 230 clients so far.
Was that strategic going into Florida? Was landscaping your loss leader?
So I guess landscaping is our big profit hog. Yeah. The maintenance. I guess the strategic approach to Florida, because I'm already talking about, we're talking to both teams about buying more companies now to try to bring up our maintenance again. I really think it was a strategic thing for me, and it always has been, to try to produce a lot of landscaping because it brings in quick money to build the company and be able to fund things. The only scary part about it is once you get it started, and if you get spending a lot of money, you got to keep it going. You got to make sure that flow is going in. So you got to be investing a lot in marketing to make sure you keep doing that. And the whole strategy there, and the way we looked at it, because Florida was much more by design, where Illinois was much more do every service in the world and try to get revenue and try to grow a company when you're learning along the way. Yep. And so in Florida, we were able to focus on the landscaping, bring in the profits, bring in the revenue. And, our name is Scooters Lawn Care, which I'm kind of frustrated we just didn't call it Scooter Services, but it is Scooters Lawn Care. And with that being said, the mowing stuff, it's in our name. We don't market for it. We don't do ads for it. There's not a single advertisement about, hey, we're trying to add mowing lawns. But because of that, the way we focus on our business, we aren't hamstrung to needing to sell a bunch of lawns. It just happened to be that we sold that many. We were actually, as we got closer to 100, we kept raising the prices, trying to make it where we wouldn't have over accrue. Then the same thing happened again on our way up to 200. We're like, how much do we have to raise the prices to get people to stop accepting? Obviously we want to try to get closer to really profitable and be in numbers we want, but we were trying to control some of that flow by increasing in price. But now, seeing how this went and how it was kind of designed, it allowed me to not care about what we were pricing on mowing, which instead of fighting for the scraps and pricing low, trying to get those, now we've slowly built up a big profitable book of mowing while focusing on really pulling all the money from landscaping. And where a lot of people complain about mowing and say they're not making much money, we're killing it here. I mean, people are charging, we charge more to just mow a lawn, and we bring the value too. It's not just like we have this high price. There's a lot of stuff that makes us bring a lot of value that allows this to happen. But where some people will mow a lawn, they'll trim all the bushes, they'll spray all the beds for $100 a month. We won't. I mean, we'll mow a lawn for $150 a month, and that's it. That doesn't include trimming. That doesn't include the beds. I mean, beds are another $50. We're at $200 a month, and they're not getting the shrubs trimmed. Yep. But there's a huge difference between the communication, the reliability, and the things that happen. You get all these low prices that I'm talking about, and every client you meet says, "Oh, my last mowing company, they billed me this, but they never did any of the work." That's what everybody says. And we'll get in the track of they think they need to charge the same thing because that's the going rate. And we've been able to really separate away from that and not worry about that, back to because we focused on landscaping. That was the cash hog. That was what got us going. That's what funded all of this. And we just started buying and growing and really leaned into that. But I want to bring that maintenance up. It'd be cool to buy a company or do something to really push that maintenance up and try to get it closer to 50-50.
I love it. Before we switch gears to the next couple of things you have going on, what's the goal for 2023 for Scooters?
2023, I think we did a light goal here in Florida. Our goal was $2.5 million. I think that honestly, it's probably better to be like a $3 million goal here with the pace we're going. And then Illinois, they said $3 million there. So $5.5 million between the two companies. I know personally, if we were to say $5 million overall, that's like extremely achievable goal, like that's going to happen no matter what. Goal personally with a mower shop is, get another 500,000 of revenue out of that. And so that kind of falls under the Scooters Lawn Care umbrella. And I'd be pretty excited about that.
Yeah. And I know you'll hit your goals. There's not many people that I think that has a bigger vision as I do out there, but Jacob Godar is one of those guys. So let's switch gears a little bit because we didn't get to talk about your podcast. We haven't talked about your coaching group. Let's jump on the Grow by Design. How did that get started? And what's that about?
Well, it's really, really cool. You call me the CEO of it. Me and Nicole are 50-50 on that thing. It's really fun doing it with my wife. And I think what happened is it kind of came about based off of, we have the YouTube channel. We create Comm to help answer people's questions because people ask a lot of stuff and we wanted a better outlet for that. And then I realized there's so many people. If you look at a lot of the industry, there's a lot of people that are a single guy running a company, shooting a bunch of YouTube videos. And there are some people that, I'm not saying there aren't any couples, but I don't feel like there's any couples that are exactly like me and my wife are. And it really allowed us to get in and share some of the struggles and the challenges and the stuff we've been through. Plus, my wife is the marketing and the wordsmith genius, and we are complementary opposites. She is good at that, and I suck at that. And I'm just number savvy, and it's what I think is fun, and she hates that as well. So together, we bring a really cool dynamic of relationships, business, having kids, and having all this load of things on top of you along with having a business. And that's what really pushed the idea of growing by design and really designing the company to facilitate the life that you want to have, and talking about some of the things we've done to have success so we can share those with other people to hopefully inspire other people. It can be done and give them some gold nuggets where they can take this and take action on things as well.
That's super awesome. Love that. And then let's switch over to the Comm thing. Like, how did that get started? Is that from a YouTube thing as well? Just people asking questions?
It had a little bit of a start and stop in its birth and then rebirth. And I'm sure it's going to take many more evolutions because I'm always looking to try to make things better and figure out how we can bring more value. You get really stuck on always wanting to be so savvy about the value that you're hungry to always make it bigger and better. And so I started off with YouTube. YouTube gained some traction, and even in like the niche industry that I think lawn care would be, and even more niche, the people caring less about, hey, what color mower do you get? What blade? How do you sharpen blades and do all the silly shit, to the people that actually want to try to make money. Yep. And that was where I think that's the smallest part of the industry, is the people that want to run a business and grow a business and scale a business and care about the numbers. There's a lot of us that me and you have both read E-Myth. A lot of people get out and they just are like, hey, I can cut lawns, so I'm going to be a great business owner. The truth of the matter is it takes a lot more than doing the technician stuff to run a business. And so YouTube was an outlet. Sorry for the notifications. YouTube was an outlet to, and it's probably going to do it again. YouTube is an outlet to let me talk about business and talk about some of the things we were doing. And that started driving a lot of questions. And so the first version of Comm was really a way to share more information, share templates, share the things we were doing to help us estimate, build out our numbers with other people, because I knew with all the questions, that's what people struggle with. Honestly, with YouTube and even inside Comm, one of the biggest challenges with people is numbers. Yep. And trying to help make that easier so people are headed in the right direction, because that's such a big problem. Like, your business is relying on you to have some grasp on your numbers so you can have some semblance of financial success in your business. So this all led to, after all those questions and all of those things, trying to package it up into a group where there is some kind of skin in the game, some kind of pay to play scenario. So it isn't just another Facebook group where every, person out there with an opinion can talk shit about thinking that your question is stupid. Yep. Like, I think that would be one of the first things we would do, is if someone came in and actually made fun of a question, I would immediately be like, dude, you're out, you're canceled, you're gone. Because there needs to be a place where people can ask anything, and the only question that is stupid is the question that is unasked. And so we wanted to create a place like this where we could shovel all the templates, all the courses we have. Like if I'm creating a course to try to train my team on something, we put that in there and give this to everybody else to use at their disposal for their company. I mean, even to the email marketing we use, it's got all of our templates for that, all of our templates for Excel sheets and pricing and all of this. And then to add to that, we'll do like we have a event this week that we're going to be putting on at the office, a little tiny small 10, 15 person event. And then we have, weekly calls where we're going over talking about a topic that'll help your company and answer questions and just constantly trying to bring more value to serve the people that want help to try to get better.
Yeah, I love that. How many coaching clients do you have now?
There are about, I believe, somewhere between 40 and 50 people in the group.
You guys meet once a week?
Yeah, we meet once a week, every Friday, noon Eastern time. We do a call, but it's always available. It started out as a Facebook group, and kind of in the evolution, it's moved to a Mighty Networks group, which is still a platform you can have everybody on. It's still kind of like being on Facebook, but it's a closed group that kind of takes us away from that realm where there's not as many distractions. And you can ask questions and anything you want from the group, because as the group grows, the group brings more value, because each time more members come in and that number ticks up, obviously it's going to tick up some and you're going to lose a couple. It's just like growing any company. But as there's more, there becomes more value, because all the assets, which are all of us, bring more value to everybody, because we've all got different experiences and we could all help each other differently.
Yeah. And is it, does it go by like the price that they pay for a month or whatever? Is it attached to their revenue, or is it just a base price?
Just base price.
And how much?
Just base price. There's no
for the new guys. For the new guys that are listening, how much do you charge for them to get in?
Right now, and it's going to change, and it's probably going to keep going up over time. Everything evolves, right? But right now we're at $139 a month.
Awesome. And then where do these guys go to find you?
You can find me, especially for that, if you want to join the wait list for when it opens again. That's at jacobgodar.com. You can go there. There'll be a GrowComm link, and you can check on that. You'll see the wait list, and you can get on that. And that's a great resource to get you in there. And there's some other information on the website that'll point you to other things: the YouTube channel, the podcast, some of the other things we're doing.
That's awesome. And do you guys meet in person ever? Is it once a year? How do you operate that?
Well, so this is we're having our first event this Friday.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start kind of scaling that up a little bit at a time. It was just the idea that we had some interest, and we decided, hey, we'll do something at the shop, kind of same way we did in Illinois with the dealership. Yeah. We had the place, we've got the room here, we'll have something small. We knew if you get over 14 people, because just looking at my crew in the morning, this is going to be a pain. So we had to keep it tiny, and this will be kind of the first step. And then, we'll probably, depending on how this goes and the feedback we get, we'll build into what it is we do next. And I would not put any limit on that. I want to keep growing this in the right direction, and my intentions are to be able to put more and more time towards this sector of business, because I really love when a client hands you a check with a smile on their face. That doesn't hold a candle to if a person with a business that is struggling or just gets better in general is thankful and is happy that you were able to help them and point them in the right direction. That is 400% more fulfilling to me than anything in just as I like my landscape company, anything in my landscape company is to me.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. If you ever need a speaker at one of your events, I'd love to just come down there and hang out for a day in Florida.
Heck yeah. Sure. That'd be awesome. Well, as we have more, we'll keep bringing more people down. I'll keep you on the roster.
Let me ask you this question. What are you most proud of in all your years of business? I'm going to go deep on you.
I think that I'm achieving the goals that I wanted to create. A couple big things for me that when I really got at, and I say this all the time, like I show team members, like when I say I write my goals every day, it's like, where does it start? I write my goals every day. It's this little chunk right here. I don't know if nobody can probably see that, but it's there, right? And two of the things in there is one, creating a life beyond belief for me and my family. And I've got a long way to go to the trajectory I want to be at someday, but I see the fulfillment of that in the things that are happening where we're headed in the right direction. Another thing is I want to create an opportunity for my employees to, basically have endless career. There's always another level to go to, kind of like infinite opportunity. And I set everybody up to succeed. And seeing that the company's taken a big shift from when I was just trying to scrape and get going. And do I ever struggle still? Yeah, I struggle all the time. Business is hard. If it gets easy, I make sure we make it fucking harder. I just have this natural tendency to bite off more than I can chew. But what I think is really fulfilling, and one of the other goals is seeing this stuff happen with them getting opportunity and knowing that my and business has started to shift to the finances of my employees, the goals of my employees. I'm starting to be more excited about my employees hitting certain revenue, like income goals than anything. So seeing those things progress to what I was always really wanting, or once I really decided what I wanted, seeing us progress to those, I think that's probably one of the biggest wins for me.
Cool. Love that. Last question. If there's one piece of advice that you could get for a new business owner, what would you tell them?
They have nothing.
They have nothing.
And they're just
they're just rolling. Maybe they're a year in.
Okay, they're a year in and they have nothing. They've got no technology, no nothing. They're just like on paper.
They're just on paper.
Dude, you need a CRM and you got to buy one that allows you to market your ass off. Absolutely. Meaning you got to email, you got to track, you got to have everything where you can grow your company. And I think since we're talking about it, you need to not look for what's cheapest and you need to look for what it is to where you're going, because there is no sense in buying something that won't take you where you want to take you to where you want to go, to have this freaking massive roadblock. I can't explain to you the level of roadblock. If you get a lot of people in a CRM before you switch to the thing that's really going to take you a long way, that you will go through. So get a CRM, make sure it can do all the features. You can have credit cards on file. You can be tracking stuff. It handles your dispatching well, and it allows you to market and email to people. And we've looked at everything out there. And if you can't send bulk emails to everybody and pose them like they're individual emails and make it where they're all named individually to every client, and educate. And even more than when I say marketing, it's not me saying, hey, you want to buy this? Hey, you want to buy this? Hey, you want to buy this? It's constant education for our clients about things that are going on and when they should be getting done, and tips for our clients. And then we'll throw in hey, by the way, we're doing aeration and that's coming up. Is that something that you're interested in? Here are some of the benefits of that. And if you would like to do that, here's some information about it if you want to do it yourself, or you can get a quote from us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, my man, it is 2:00. I promised you we'd jump off here. Again, you're an absolute rock star. You're a leader in our industry, and I appreciate taking time with us.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate being here, man.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the Pest Control Millionaire Podcast. If this was valuable to you, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It really makes a big difference for our growth. And if you do need any help growing your business, go ahead and check out pestcontrolmillionaire.com. We have lots of courses up there, from sales to operations. I have some courses there about producing short form content. Plus, we have a mentorship program where you can get one-on-one business coaching from the Pest Control Millionaire himself. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.